What's up, everybody? This is Tommy Runs with Kafuzi and Emily Heller. Run like Heller. This is another episode for Relay Podcast for the show that's been yet to be named.
I thought we had a name, but you know.
What's the name? What's the name?
I've been calling it Behind the Running Influencer, but I don't think you like that name, and that's why I think you keep saying it's a not yet named show.
Because it makes me feel like you're saying that you're faster than me, so I'm running behind you, behind the running influencer. You know what I mean? I get it, but I don't like the way I don't like your tone. You know, when you say it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone here knows. Well, maybe not everyone, but it's very clear that you are the fastest one in this room right now. So no one's gonna question you on that. So right. I mean, but you don't have to be so insecure about it.
Well, I mean, that's been one of my things that I've been trying to figure out is how to manage my insecurity and not let it just boil over into all my endeavors. But welcome, guys.
Therapy session?
Yes, it is.
We're just jumping right in.
Today on this show, Behind the Influencer, we have Run Like Heller, a person that I don't think I might have been on. Yeah, I had you on my show way back, and I started following you a long time ago, and you were inspiring the crap out of me way back then. You're still doing it now. How have you been?
Thank you. I'm good. I have been just crazy with regular work, like my actual job, and training for New York City, which, Tommy, I know you're also running. Mm-hmm. And Mike, you're going to be in New York during the marathon weekend, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be on Cheer Squad.
Yeah, we'll all be there. But yeah, I've just been working, trying to get YouTube stuff done, and also just getting my miles in. That's basically my entire summer right there.
That's a lot of things, though.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It can be a lot sometimes, a little overwhelming. Sometimes, like, one thing has to take a little bit of a backseat. It kind of like one day or 1 week, it'll be like my actual job will have to be like the front runner, or sometimes it's YouTube, and sometimes it's just getting my miles in. Whatever it is, real life. But we just make it work day by day. That's what we do here.
But so Emily, like when you first, what made you decide to get into? What was the first step for you? Because I don't know if your first moment was like, I'm going to be an influencer. What was the first step for you, and why?
So I think the very, very first steps of me even considering doing this was probably just watching a bunch of videos myself. Like back in 2012, I finally stopped wearing just the ASICS GT 2000, 1000, whatever it was. And I got more into wondering what other running shoes were out there. So I started doing a little bit of research, and I came across Ginger Runner, Ethan Newberry. He was the number one first person I ever watched, and I saw his OG Clifton video. And after that, I watched every video he had, and then I came across Jameson Runs, and I came across Kofuzi eventually, and I just thought I want to do this, but I just really don't know how to get started. I don't know what even the first thing to do is. So for many years, I didn't do it, and I just kept consuming the content. And eventually, I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to just try it. I have a little bit of a background with my career in terms of editing stuff. So I could use a little bit of that to make YouTube videos. And I'm just going to hit record on my crappy camera and see where it goes. And the rest was kind of history. So that was kind of how I got started. Yeah.
What year was that when you kind of started making videos?
So I think I published my first video in 2019, and I started watching videos in 2012 to pretty much 2012. So it's been a really long time. It was a really long time between me starting to watch this kind of content and actually trying to execute it.
And then you mentioned that you already had a little background from your job. What was it? Do you want to share what your job is? I mean, you don't have to share exactly, but you could be vague if you want to be vague.
So I work as a producer for CBS News. So that requires editing on video software. That requires using a camera sometimes, not so much anymore, but back in the day, I had to use a camera a lot. So I had that little bit of base knowledge, which definitely helped. So I think that kind of gave me a little more confidence to try to actually do it myself.
What was the scariest part though, of starting that process?
I think honestly, to be totally transparent, the scariest thing was like wondering what people were going to say, like people that I knew, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you guys have felt this way too, like when you first got started, when you go to your like actual job and this video you made about a shoe like exists in the universe and you like try to promote it, and then your like coworkers are like, what is this?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What is this video you posted? And like, people are like, oh, did you try to make a YouTube video? Like, that's cute, that kind of thing. And obviously like your first videos are not good. They only get better over time.
My first videos were so amazing.
Well, besides you, Tommy, you. No, but like, you know what I mean? It's the confidence, like being self-conscious part that was the scariest for me.
A lot of your filming, your running footage, it seems to be like running through your neighborhood.
Yeah.
I have a hard, we just moved out to the suburbs, and so like most of my like neighbors like don't know what I do. Mm-hmm. They're starting to like they're slowly like when they have a chance and I'm like not by my wife, they'll be like, what does your husband do? So they always kind of like ask it that way, but a lot of them don't know. And so I generally don't run in the neighborhood because I always run with a selfie stick and I'm filming stuff. I also don't want to like film my neighbors' houses and stuff, but even like when I'm further away, like I still am like, I don't want to have people see me filming. I've been doing this for a really long time, and I film at races, I film all the time, but I'm like, I just don't want my like neighbors to see what I'm doing. Like, do your neighbors who like don't run like ask about what you're doing? Has that ever come up?
So it's actually interesting. I don't really talk to a lot of my neighbors.
Okay.
Well, maybe they're thinking like, what the heck is this girl doing? But they don't ever really say it. But I do definitely get like, if some guy or woman is outside mowing the lawn, gardening, whatever the heck, and they see me with this selfie stick, especially talking into it.
Okay.
They'll like look at me, and then I'll be like, so guys, today, and then I'm like, oh, actually, and I like put the stick down. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything here. You did, I definitely get embarrassed like that. But it's funny, Mike, like for you to say that you get shy about it, because I feel like you guys, the way that I feel you guys are so confident with it that it's inspired me to like care less. But it's interesting to hear you say that you are like a little bit embarrassed, I guess is the word, sometimes in certain situations.
The other day, I was sitting in New Balance headquarters at the front waiting on my person to come down. And I was about to record, and I felt like this would be when Mike would say something to the camera. Yeah. to tie this whole thing together. I pulled my phone out, hit record, and started to talk, and then realized how quiet it is in there. And I was like, nope. I'm just gonna use the caption to tie this all together. Yeah. Because I got so embarrassed. I was like, nope. Even if that's the reason why I'm there, I still felt so weird about it.
Oh, I totally felt like that too when I went to New Balance headquarters, like in the summertime. I went with Believe in the Run, so it's like Meg and Jess Movald and Laura Green was there, and they're all just like whipping out their cameras, like they do not care. But I am a little bit more introverted, so even with them still like just filming everything, I was still a little bit more shy. So I totally understand how that feels.
Well, it seems like everyone's been to New Balance headquarters except for me at this point. So
well,
now I'm feeling left out.
They actually addressed that on the while I was there.
They did not.
They did.
That's nice of you to say, but they did not.
Oh, no, you don't want to know what they said.
Oh, okay. There's a reason. Okay.
Well, so we haven't had Kafuzi here because...
No one tell him that you were here.
The guy just keeps talking into his camera. That's all he does.
Actually, though, at the trail race that I did over the weekend, it was like a local trail race. It's just at the park where I do most of my trail shoe testing. And I'm like, well, I'm running a race. You're going to have to narrate it a little bit if you're doing a race video. And I'm like, like trail racing has embraced YouTube videos much earlier than road racing has. And I think there's a lot of reasons that it just makes a little bit more sense in that space. But like, I just felt it was a smaller race. and it was really quiet in the morning in the park, and I'm running with like 3 or 4 other people, like 2 people in front of me and maybe 1 or 2 people behind me, and I'm like, I can't really go much longer without saying something to the camera to like say like, all right, we're starting the race.
Yeah.
And normally, like for the Chicago Marathon, it's super loud. I'm like, all right, let's go, guys, 2023 Chicago Marathon, woo, But if you watch like the video that I just put out for the Soul Crusher 10 mile, I'm like, all right, just started the Soul Crusher 10 mile, Veterans at Park, Crystal Lake, And even though I said it like that quiet, the person in front of me certainly didn't know what I was doing. And so like at that point, that person stopped and like moved over to the side because I think that maybe they couldn't hear me, but they maybe thought I was trying to ask
to them or something?
to pass or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, you're fine. Stay right there. You're fine. You're fine right there. I'm just talking to my camera. Sorry.
Yeah. It's always stuff like that. Like I actually did a half marathon yesterday, and I've been like doing like little reels of week to week, like my marathon training. And I decided to just like pull out my camera and film myself like running on the bridge. And I felt like the people around me just like all collectively turned to look. And I was like, oh, I'm just like so embarrassed. And I'm like, guys, like, can you just let me do it? Leave me alone.
Just pretend I'm not here, guys.
You know what? Honestly, guys, like probably a lot of that is in our heads. Like, yeah, maybe they do like look for a second, but everyone's so involved in like what they're doing that they probably don't even like care what we're doing. I think a lot of it is in my head personally.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's in your head. I gotta say, like, I mean, that's like one of the things, like, so like influencing, like the term influencer to me makes me feel like weird as well, just because we all have like this like preconceived like image of what we think like an influencer, quote unquote influencer is, and it's always like a negative because it's like, oh, those influencers, that type of thing. So as soon as I pull a camera out, I just don't want people to feel like that I think that I'm one of them. It's a weird balance, man. It's a weird balance, and I mean, no one does it better than Kafuzi though. I'm just saying, no, like I mean, bro, like it's true. Like let's just be real. Like you'll. I've never wanted to go some of the places that you've gone until you show me that you've been there. I'm like, wow, that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, here. So in terms of how I get over the embarrassment part of it is I really don't like doing voiceovers later. Okay. And so my whole point is if I just film 2 sentences right now, and it's basically like, all right, just finished doing this. Now we're going to go do that. That saves me from like, all right, well, I can't just have like a 2-sentence voiceover. And then I have to set the tone and be like, all right, now we're going to this shakeout. And the pop-up is put on by these people and all this. Then I got to explain, and then I got to write a script, and then I got to go from my couch where I normally do my editing down here where the microphones are, and it's a thing.
That's a good point.
My biggest motivation is, one, I think it's better to narrate it in real time, but also like it just makes for a much easier editing workflow later, and I'm just kind of lazy is the thing.
So, Emily, have you gotten into the voiceover part yet?
I've only done one voiceover so far, and it was when I was in London and Paris for my like little weekly reel of my marathon training. But I think what's kind of what I wanted to mention is I feel like in my content creating, I'm sort of like at a crossroads because I feel obviously let me start over. So like when I first started doing YouTube videos, I feel like YouTube was like the place, like that was the space. And then it became, well, you can't just be really like a YouTuber. You have to also like build up your Instagram presence. You have to create reels. You have to like, then there's TikTok, and then there's YouTube shorts, and there's like all this other stuff now. So I've been trying to experiment a little bit more with trying to build my Instagram following and do different kinds of reels. So I was actually trying to decide and think about ahead of time, which I never do, like what I want to do in terms of content creating for like New York City, like that weekend. Like, do I want to do voiceovers of the Shakeout Run? Do I want to do more of like a, hey, here we are at, like what you were just saying, like a couple sentences and then just like showing what we're doing? It's a tricky situation. Like you don't know what is kind of like gonna hit the best and what people really like, but you also want to do stuff that like means something to you and resonates with you. so that's a long answer to your question. I've only ever done one, but I want to kind of do more. Like Tommy, are you? I've watched a bunch of your reels. Are you more of like a voiceover guy, or are you kind of
Well,
not so much?
so I don't like to do jokes on command or voiceovers on command.
Okay.
So that's my thing. Like I've done a couple voiceovers recently that were just kind of fun
Yeah.
to me. Like they're just me rambling, which is cool. But I don't. I've been asked to do reels for brands, and voiceovers make sense. But I just feel like I'm really bad at them. Some people are like amazing, and they just knock it out of the park every time. And I just don't think that I'm one of those people. I'd much rather do like a vibe where it's just like the right music makes everything great,
For sure.
or like I kind of like have leaned a little bit more towards like the vlogging type of reels lately, where I
Yeah.
kind of like tap into that like Kafuzi energy, where like you just say a couple things and make sure that like the audio is loud enough so you can hear what I said, and then still kind of mix that with the music, but just that straight up voiceover thing, it's just not me. I feel like I wish I was the guy from like That's All State Stan, you know? Then maybe I could like figure that out. But it's tough though. I gotta admit it's pretty tough.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I did it once, it was fine. Will I do more? I don't know. I kind of do lean towards the more like vloggy type of thing though, for sure.
When you like when you jumped into like the Instagram stuff, like was that like a do you feel like you have which one do you like more? Do you like the YouTube vibe, or are you liking the Instagram thing right now?
Yeah, it kind of like goes back and forth. I really like long form content. I like to watch long form content. So for me, that's why YouTube makes the most sense. And I feel like I can explain stuff better, in a longer duration video. But really enjoy making Instagram reels. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing, and I still kind of don't, but I'm trying to get like a little bit better. And yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. It just depends on what it is that I'm doing. And I never know, like one thing that I always think about is if I have a long form YouTube video, should I make like a shorter reel about that shoe to like go along with it, or does it defeat the purpose? Like I always think about like that sort of thing. And that's like where it gets tricky. I want to like, what do you, Cole, like Mike, do you do that? I don't really see that you do like a shorter version, like reel of a shoe, and then you don't really like tag it to your like long form video necessarily, right?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
thought about this a lot because like I'll see like someone else's reel of a shoe that I've reviewed, and it might be like a 60,000 view reel. I'm like, that's way better than any of the like for reels
Right.
I've gotten that good before, but like not for YouTube Shorts. And that's where I'm always like, for YouTube Shorts, certainly that would make sense to do like like a 60-second version of my review.
Yeah.
But like, I just don't like the idea of the 60-second. It's not interesting to me. Like, I want to talk about it some more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
whole premise for me making like shoe review videos was like the 2 paragraphs that the brand gives you is not enough information. I need more
Exactly.
information. And so I want to see it. I want to like hear people talk about it. I want to understand it as best as possible without actually putting it on, or before
Yeah.
I make the decision whether or not I want to put it on. So that's kind of how I like receive and think about reviews. And so like the 60-second review has always been kind of like, I'm glad other people do it. I'm glad people are watching it. That's great. But I don't really want to make them. So what
Yeah.
I've been making is more kind of like, I used to do like I used to make like 4 videos per shoe. It'd be like first run, like, here's one on a long run, and here's like the long-term review video. I would make all these
Yeah.
different like, and then I'll do this versus that shoe video. I made a whole bunch. But now I'm just using that kind of stuff as more fitting into reels. And so that'll be more like glimpses here and there, and like kind of like what Tommy's saying, vibey, where it's like it's very music driven,
Yeah.
and visuals and music, but I'm not talking, I'm not telling you about it at all. It's just, kind of like what's the energy of the shoe, what's like the kind of like the essence of the shoe, and kind of visual and music form kind of is what I like to do for short form. And sometimes it's successful, sometimes not so much. So I don't know.
Yeah. I
I'm
think people like that
experimenting.
though, like the music If you have like a shoe that you have a video for that you really want people to watch, and then you have like a really good music driven reel that goes like with it, sort of, I think it will drive people to that longer form content in some way, like if they're curious about it.
Yeah, my hope is that like then they'll be just interested in the shoe and hopefully search for it on YouTube, which is where I'm strong. And so then so that way I also don't like, I don't love it. I do it from time to time, but I try to avoid it as much as possible. I don't like it when someone's like on Instagram, go check out my thing on this other platform.
All the time.
And so I'm like, no, I'm here. Talk to me here.
Yeah,
you know,
like in bio.
Yeah. I do that. I do that every single time.
Link in bio, I don't mind, but I'm just like, when it's like, I came here, make stuff for me here. I'm looking at you here. I'm paying attention to you here. Don't make me leave here. I'm over there, and if I like you there, I'll probably see it there too, but like, I understand you have to promote stuff and all that kind of thing. But, so I always try to figure out how do I make it different so that way it doesn't seem like one is like the main and the others are pushing to the main. I try to make each one its own kind of like facet of the diamond.
So you're saying like, you don't want to go to get some coffee and they send you next door to get the creamer.
No, I mean, it's not so much that. If I'm in the mood for coffee, I want coffee. That's why I'm at the coffee shop. If I'm at the coffee shop and they're like, we also own a really good pad thai restaurant down the street, I'll be like, cool. It's not really helpful for me now in the morning when I want coffee,
Yeah, no, I hear
so that's kind of how I feel
that makes sense. That's a really good way to put it.
So
basically what he's saying is he just doesn't like pad thai. I get it.
Oh, well.
That's all I heard. I'm hungry now.
I actually really do enjoy pad thai, but we don't get to eat it that much because my daughter has a peanut allergy, so I have to avoid it a lot.
Damn.
So.
Oh man, I have so many questions about that. I don't want to derail this whole thing. Yeah, do you like? Oh yeah, because I heard people that like they'll go and they'll do like a small exposure like shots over time. Would you guys ever do that?
I think that's still in the experimental phases. I don't know that it's like broadly approved for it.
Okay.
And none of the people that do those are near us, I think. But,
Got it.
Yeah. Right now, I'm obsessed, and my daughter is as well, with the idea that there are peanut sniffing dogs. And so, like, you just like show your food to the dog, and the dog will smell it. And if it's okay, just gives you like a right. And if it's not, and maybe like a nod or eye contact. And if there's peanuts in it, it'll paw it for it.
Is this real?
It's not going to slap it out of your hand, but it'll.
Are you going to get a dog like this? Because I really.
I don't know. I have a feeling it's not cheap, but like, we don't have a dog. My kids want a dog. I kind of want a dog.
That would be the perfect kind of dog to get.
Here's the thing. Yeah. So if we get a peanut allergy dog, the thing is my daughter's also allergic to dogs.
Well, wait a minute. They have hypoallergenic dogs.
I know, but I don't know. Can they still smell? Can they still smell well? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe, why can't they be?
I don't know.
There's got to be.
It's one of those things with the universe. It's like the universe doesn't always give with both hands. Yeah. Amazing sense of smell. Hypoallergenic. It might be an either or.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. See how handsome I am. I'm also not the sharpest tool in the shed. You know what I mean? Like you can't have both. So Emily, tell me the moment in the day, in the time when you first said, "Do the Good Morning YouTube thing." I was gonna do it, but I can't.
You want me to do it right now?
Yeah, do it right now.
Good morning, YouTube. There you go.
That was amazing. Hold on.
I remember the first video. Thank you. Yes, I'll do a little bow, curtsy, perhaps. I remember the first video that I actually did that on. It was so random. It was like when I first started my channel, and it was a vlog type of thing. I was going to see Seth D'Amour. He was doing a shakeout run in New York City in 2019, and I wasn't running the marathon, but I just like wanted to go to his shakeout because I was watching his videos at the time quite a bit. And I just did it, and I never stopped doing it. But I will tell you that a lot of people comment on my videos telling me to stop doing that. They're like, I fast forward every time. It's so cringe. Stop doing that. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm still doing it. Can't tell me nothing.
Wait, they fast forward for 3 seconds?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. They're like, I can't watch it. I have to fast forward. I'm like, good, then fast forward. See if I care.
I mean, honestly, I don't know what that says about me, but that's like one of my favorite parts. Like, I actually
saying.
caught myself every now and then. I've said it before to myself, like, had nothing to do with your videos, but every time
love
I
it.
think of YouTube, I think of Good Morning YouTube.
Well, that makes me feel very good. Thank you, Tommy. I hope your kid's probably like, Dad, please stop.
I'm
You're
gonna
embarrassing me.
As soon as this is over, I'm gonna go sing to them.
Great. I love that.
Let's talk a little bit more about the channel, though. You've been
Yeah.
reviewing shoes now for like 4 years now, and I think that when I first started seeing your videos, you were like one of the very few like women running shoe reviewers, and I still feel like there are more now, but I still feel like there's not a lot. What is it? I mean, like, what is your take on that? You're like, well, good. That means there's more views for me, or like,
No.
I wish there were more. Like, can you comment on that a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely am not of the thought process that I'm glad there's not more. I wish there were more. I'm often asked a lot of times like why I think that is, and I just don't really know, but I think maybe my guess is that the space really is so male dominated that I know when I first started doing YouTube, that was one of the reasons why I was hesitant to do it because it is so male driven and it just seemed like more men were watching YouTube videos. I kind of thought like, well, why would guys want to watch a woman, which is a really sad way to think, honestly, but it is a reality. Like, why would somebody like want to watch a video that I'm making when I'm like not really I'm not an elite, I'm not super fast, and I'm also a woman. Like, no guy is going to want to watch that when they already have Ginger Runner, Jamie Kofuzi, Seth Demore, like that was sort of a reason for that. And I think over time it's definitely gotten better, and like Meg Murray is now like in the Believe in the Room videos and has been for quite a long time, which is great, which gives them some like female representation, and there's other women doing it, but it's still so poorly represented when it comes to like women and people that women can relate to. I feel like.
Do you think that do you experience it differently in other social media platforms? Because like even my YouTube audience skews very heavily male, but it's not as disproportionate when I go to Instagram, for example.
Yeah.
Like, are you seeing different kind of responsiveness to you in terms of audience demographics between the platforms?
Yeah, I definitely am. Like you said, YouTube is really heavy on male viewership for me. It's almost insane. It's like 70 or 80, 20 or 70, 30 or something crazy like that. And then on Instagram, it's still male dominated, but it is less so. So it's more like maybe like 60-40 or something like that, or maybe even a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know why that is. I don't know why more women aren't watching YouTube videos, or maybe they are, they're just not watching shoe reviews. But Instagram definitely skews, it's definitely a little bit better in terms of like female viewership for sure.
And is that part of the reason why like you're trying to emphasize Instagram growth now, or like tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. One of the biggest reasons I got into doing YouTube reviews and wanting to be an influencer in air quotes is because I wanted to have somebody that like I would be able to relate to. Like if there's somebody like me who wants to consume running content, running shoe content, maybe they don't necessarily relate to all the guys out there, and they want to hear from a woman and like a woman's perspective on something. So that is sort of like why I want to do it. And I feel like if I can get a little bit more female viewership on Instagram, that is a win in my book. So doing different kind of content, like not just a straight like review of a shoe, which is like what I do on YouTube, like doing a little bit more of like creative stuff on Instagram, I think maybe has helped a little bit get some more female viewership. It's kind of like what I'm hoping for. Seems to be working.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job on Instagram. I mean, do you feel like that? Do you feel like Instagram has kind of allowed you to tap into like another like layer of, maybe not creativity, but then also like more of like who you are as a person.
Yeah.
As opposed to like YouTube, it seems like you're probably more like the I am a shoe reviewer, thus I shoe review.
Yeah, on Instagram, I definitely show like more of my personality, more of my life. Like I go into like a little more depth on that. And I like to be able to do that and to be like 100% like authentically me and create content that like I really love that might not necessarily have to do with running shoes. And I really like to be able to like tap into like a little more creativity. I feel sometimes on YouTube it's either like a review or a vlog. Like there's really no in between necessarily. You know, on Instagram you can do, you know, like I can try on all these different like outfits and apparel that brands send me, and I can make it fun, and I can like go do something that's completely not running related, but people might like to see it, like that sort of thing. So yeah, I think I definitely have liked that aspect of Instagram, just being able to like be a little bit more me and show more of my personality, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that YouTube almost penalizes you whenever you step outside of like the box that it thinks that you're in. And so like I have been really trying to like narrow down more and more like the kinds of videos that I make on YouTube, because it's just it's almost like running on one of those curved treadmills where it's like it takes a long time to get moving, and then like once it's moving you don't want to stop, because then if you stop then you gotta, then it's like then I gotta push the thing again, and it's like a lot of effort. So I've been like trying to keep it narrow, but then on Instagram, the more I like keep it narrow on YouTube, the more on Instagram I'm like, no rules, I'm gonna make whatever I feel like doing today.
Exactly.
Which it used to be flipped the opposite way for me, but now I'm realizing I kind of enjoy it more, where I'm like, okay, I will let YouTube have its YouTube, like feed the YouTube its YouTube, and then do what I want over on some of the other ones.
Yeah, like I feel like on Instagram and stuff, even on stories, I can be like a little more like sassy, a little more like a little more like how I am in day-to-day life, like put a little flair to it, you know, just be myself, like goofy, that sort of thing. And yeah, YouTube feels a little more formal to me. Like even you, Tommy, like I know that you put all of your personality, which is great, into the content that you make on Instagram. And that's what makes your page like so much fun and so interesting. Like you're a runner, yeah, and you're a fast runner, but you also like have a great personality that like shines through your stuff. And I think that's like why your page is so successful.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'm just gonna smile the rest of the time. So, at what part of the in the journey? Because you mentioned like trying on clothes and stuff that brands send you. Like, at what point in your journey did like the brand love start flowing in?
That's a good question. Pretty early on, I started like emailing brands. Like that was the first thing that I started doing. Like when I very first started doing YouTube videos, I would email all these brands and try to like build up some kind of like contact base. And I think that really helped me, because then when I started to really gain traction, maybe like, I don't know, a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube, then sort of the love from the brand started, where they would personally send me shoes, personally send me apparel, but I already had a little bit of like a relationship with these people. Instead of me having to ask for the shoe, then they would say, we're going to send you this shoe. So probably like a couple thousand YouTube subscribers, maybe like 5,000 or something like that. And I still email people to this day and like ask for things. Like that never stops. Like for me anyway, like I'm not just expecting people to just send me things. You know, you have to be proactive about it. That's definitely something that I've learned. Like once you start to kind of get lazy about it, then I get a little bit dry in the content area. So I definitely try to stay on my game and make sure, you know, like it's not all going to be like handed to you. You gotta, you know, keep your relationships with these people and keep asking for things if you want them.
That's like I don't know why it surprises me, but it's like surprisingly similar to like how I kind of went about my Instagram side of things, was establishing relationships and kind of networking my way through that. And kind of just building, and it kind of puts you in a position where you are maybe doing things or getting things that maybe seem a little farther away than it should be, like you're farther along in the journey than maybe you should be.
Right.
So it allows you to kind of it puts you in spaces where normally like 50,000 followers would get you or something like
Right.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah, because your content you've always had like this. It just seems so professional and so well put together, and so many different brands, like very early to me. But now here's the hard hitting question.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm scared.
Yeah, no, ready? What brand sent you your favorite jacket?
Oh, two-time running. I mean, I honestly have, I wear that jacket. It is like my go-to running jacket. I mean, if you look at my story on any rainy, wintry day, like that is the jacket that I wear still.
Mike
So.
Kafuzi doesn't even have one of those, so
I do not have
I
that
have-
jacket. I don't know what you're
And
talking
it says
about.
Heller on the back, and it's reflective. It's
I
one of
literally
one.
put Heller on the like big on the back of
Yeah.
her jacket, and it's reflective,
sick.
so it's
I
like
love
safe and swaggy.
No, it's amazing. It is the best jacket I have. So
That's Chip Time's running
is
motto,
good.
by the way.
Safe and swaggy.
I like that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm not paying you for that, Mike.
Can we rewind a minute? Because
Yeah.
like I'm like my mind is reeling from this idea that like you're just like cold emailing people,
Oh yeah.
and you've got like 1,000 or maybe even less subscribers on the YouTube channel. And I know Tommy had like a similar approach when you started doing your podcast interviews, and I was like, how is this dude getting all these interviews? And I'm like, and I asked you this, and you're like, I just DM them a bunch. And I'm like, you're gonna have to be more specific, because I know how that would go if I did that, and it would be totally creepy. Not like creepy like in a pervy way, but it'd just be like, this guy's
Yeah.
bothering me. Like, so like, can you like, do you remember like what would be like a sample like email for that you would send to like a brand to like? I know it's not just like, hey, can I get some free shoes? So can you
Yeah.
explain that a little bit?
Sure. So the first brand that I ever got a reply from was Asics, and it was literally when I had like 300 YouTube subscribers. I'm gonna screw up Instagram and YouTube this entire time.
That's okay.
When I had like 300 YouTube subscribers, I emailed them, and they answered right away. And I think I said like, hey, like, my name is Emily Heller. I just started this YouTube channel, Run Like Heller. I started on X day, and I have this many followers now. And I'm like, still going strong and making content as much as I possibly can. I would really appreciate it if you could send me this shoe for review. I've run in XYZ shoes from Asics before, and I'd love to be able to give people my perspective on it, or like a woman's perspective on it.
Did you say
And
that? A woman's perspective?
I did say, I have
Okay.
said that before, yeah.
Okay.
Not every time, but it is something that I have said before. Because I mean, it is true, because I am a woman and I am giving a perspective. And I think that they like that. So, that was something that they responded well to, and they sent me the shoe. And I had like, I mean, kudos to them, because, you would think like a big brand like that would ignore an email like that from somebody who didn't have like as many subscribers, but they didn't. They sent it to me. So it was the Glide Ride. Remember that?
Oh, okay. Version
first-
1?
Yeah, version 1.
Oh, okay.
You're dating.
Where'd you
You're
find
dating yourself. Here.
how did you figure out who to email? You don't have to give away like super secrets, like if you've got like
Oh,
super
no.
tricks. And I'm
Yeah.
not trying to get everyone spammed in their email for all the brands that are out there, but I'm just like,
No.
because like I'd
can
be like,
give-
oh, that's a great email. I could probably write that too, maybe. But like, I don't even know where to send it. Do I send it to like the Instagram account? I don't even know.
Well, I have done that. I feel like I don't really have a huge success with like just DMing big brands like that. They don't really, sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. But from like the journalism side of my life, I know that like a lot of these brands have websites called like press rooms or newsrooms. So I'll just go to like, I don't know, Asics, for example, like Asics press room, Asics newsroom. And usually they'll have a bunch of like releases from different products, but they'll list emails from like their PR people. So that's just a way that I have discovered emails to send.
That's pretty clever.
That makes sense.
Pretty clever.
Yeah, I mean, we do it for journalism. Like, if you want to find a source for something, that's kind of what we've done. Or if you want to talk to somebody about XYZ, it's kind of something that we've been taught to do. So I tried to implement it in my YouTube world.
I mean, I like that to kind of like tap into more of that, like with your curiosity on that, Mike, about like those kind of cold emails or cold DMs. The one thing that stuck out to me was like you said what you do and what you're attempting to grow and build, but then you said very clearly that what makes you different, and you're like I have a woman's voice in this space, you know. So a lot of the times for my show, when I would try to get someone, I would very much point at the fact that I'm not as well-rounded or as professional as some of these other, like, you know, running podcasts, and
Right.
I'm new to the space, so I'm going to bring a different energy than your usual podcaster, and I'm not going to ask you the same questions that someone else would have, you know.
For sure.
But I said that in, like, you know, shorter words and differently, but pointing out the thing that you think would make the person not want to talk to you is probably what makes you different enough and stands out. Like, okay, I'll give that a shot. That seems fun. You know?
I think that's so important. I think that's so important when you're cold emailing or cold, you know, DMing people, is to pinpoint what makes you special, why you should be sent this product, and, you know, what makes you different from all the other millions of influencers and channels and, you know, Instagram pages that there are. Like, people are going to hold on to that one small detail and decide if they want to have you get their product in your hands.
So in a couple of weeks, wait, it's 1 week. Yeah, you'll be in New York, but like that's also not like a regular normal way that most people would get to New York. Can you explain to everyone how you're participating? Because I think that's also kind of would be an interesting story to tell for this particular podcast.
Yeah, so I got super lucky this year. I wasn't planning on doing any marathon at all, and I got a DM from Meg Murray asking if I'd like to be on the Train to NYC team with Believe in the Run and New Balance. So I said absolutely, and here we are, and it's been a really cool experience. So far, we've done the RBC Brooklyn Half in May. We did the Fifth Ave Mile. I got to go to New Balance headquarters with the team to see what was going on there. And now we're going to do the marathon. So yeah, I'm super grateful because, like I said, I was not going to do anything. I didn't get into the New York City Lotto. I decided not to try for Chicago. I was going to just kind of chill. And I'm glad that the opportunity came up.
Okay, so when you go on these trips, like you've gone up to Boston or you've gone out to Brooklyn for them, there's like a million things to see for yourself, but also that you might be recording and documenting and stuff that maybe you're not. How do you decide, like, when you're there, like on a location, like, because we talked about what goes on Instagram, what goes on YouTube, like how do you decide what do you film and what do you not film?
So that's something I'm still trying to figure out. So for the RBC half, I did a full YouTube video and kind of in a vlog style, just running the race and leading up to the race. And I felt like that was a good idea for that kind of race because it's a little bit longer, more things can happen during it. So it lends itself nicely to a long form video, I feel like. And then for like when I went to Boston for the just to go to their headquarters, I wanted to try something different. So there I did a little bit of like a recap of the weekend, but it was like a really short one. So it would just be like little filming here and there, nothing too crazy. And then for the RBC half, I think I just put it into like one of my weekly recaps from my training. But it's hard to determine sometimes like what is going to be good to film and what's not. So I think the best way to determine is just to film it all. Like film whatever you can, like just even if you think you're not going to use it, it's better to just have that content and then you have it in case you want to use it for something. But yeah, I've just been, I tried to determine like if I'm like what my thought process was behind like what kind of video I want to do for that particular event and kind of go from there.
And how crystallized is that idea like before like you get to a place?
So I need to be better about thinking ahead.
Okay.
Because I am not a good person. I don't think ahead. Like I'm sure, Mike, like you have YouTube videos that are like stacked for like the next like 2 weeks probably or next week or so. Yeah, I don't have that. It kind of is a week to week sort of thing for me, and I just determine what I'm going to do for Sunday's video.
Okay.
And that's sort of how my Instagram content has been too. But for New York, I think I am going to lay out a clear vision of what I want to do and what I want to do it for. I sort of have a couple ideas already. But yeah, I need to get a little bit better with like planning ahead. I'm more of a on the fly kind of person.
I'm with you, Emily. I don't know all this. I got a couple weeks mapped out. That doesn't even sound like fun. I need the pressure. Like, oh my gosh, it's 11:50 p.m. and I haven't dropped a video. Let's get after it. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely feel that, and I that's why I respect Mike so much and like the way he creates. Is because it's like, it feels like he cares about it a lot, but it doesn't seem like he's got like 2 weeks stacked up. I mean, it always feels very relevant in the moment. In like. It doesn't feel like it's old stale content, which is amazing, and I super appreciate that. So now there's more and more creators on YouTube and Instagram. I know I watch a lot of videos at this point that remind me of some of the greats, like like one of these guys here, like Mike's. Like I see a lot of videos that kind of look like that.
Yeah.
And when I see your stuff, I don't think of anyone else's other than than you. How do you go about staying authentic and being inspired by other folks, but making sure it's like your thing?
Yeah, so I am really paranoid about this because I don't want to make it look like I'm taking anybody's. What was that?
I'm so paranoid. I'm like,
I know. I am. I'm so paranoid about that. I don't want it to make it look like I'm jacking anybody's like vibe. I don't like that. So except for the fact that I just did a video with Kofuzi's music, literally, like last week. But that was part of the joke.
If you're gonna do it, go all the way.
You gotta do it.
Lane all the way in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Call them out, tag them.
Exactly. No, but I think, how do I try to avoid that? I just try to put my own personality into it. If a lot of people are doing these like weekly vlogs and running videos, and that's all great, but they're not me. So I try to, I have my own quirky personality and I try to like shine through these videos in some way, shape, or form. Or if it's like the kind of music that I pick, not everyone's going to pick that same exact music or that same exact song. Or if it's like, I don't know, any sort of thing like that. I think the thing that kind of becomes tricky with this space and with all forms of influencing is that there are so many people doing the same sort of stuff, and it's really hard not to overlap. When you think of a different space, like I always think of like makeup artists. They are all putting on makeup, and they're all putting on the same type of makeup, and they are all doing it very similar. Oh boy.
There we go.
Here we go.
There we go.
We're all doing it in the same sort of way, but
abort.
It's like we just after the third time we gotta stop.
Change the word.
Yeah. So, but they have to make sure that they're doing it in a way that like someone's going to watch their video over another person's video, or like even if it's the same content, the same sort of thing that they're promoting. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of just letting your personality shine through. That is the number one thing. It's what I try to do. And, that's another thing that I really should tap into more that I haven't recently is like the fact that I'm also like an LGBTQ runner. And that's another aspect of like my vibe and personality in my life that I could use to, make myself a little bit different from the rest of the crew out there. Because, I mean, there are other queer runners, but, there's not a ton of them doing, like, shoe reviews. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important because I know that I get a lot of people, and I'll let Tommy speak for himself, but I imagine it's the same way where when I see people at a meet and greet or we're grabbing selfies, like some people will be like, oh, I love the video. It's really helped me get ready for Chicago. And some people are like, it's just nice to see another Asian person out there.
Yeah.
You know? And so like I just think that like it's along those lines of like you can't be it if you can't see it kind of thing. That like we're out here. We're out here. This is for us too. We can make it for us. It might not be all for us, like 100% there for us yet, but we can work to make it there for us.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, people come up to me all the time and say that they're really just happy to see another Asian brother out there.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, so I was just actually saying to somebody the other day, like, when I first got into all this stuff, like, I mean, I obviously was very aware that I'm, you know, black in the running space. And I knew that was, it wasn't rare, but it was, you know, the underrepresented population. But I still somehow thought that because speed and like performance was very important to me, I thought that's kind of what people really kind of followed me for. Like if I wasn't as fast as I am, maybe people would care just a little less. And I thought that was really what was driving some of the growth. But then you start to see people in person, like you said, at the meet and greets, and then like if you're on a panel and all this other stuff, like all of a sudden, like the feedback you're getting is because, you know, like, oh, it's nice to see another black face like out doing things with a voice and like and
for sure.
being yourself and speaking. But then it was on top of that, then it was like the sobriety, the sobriety part, the fact that I'm vulnerable in that space. And I just think the more that you are able to be like all of who you are, you know, and share it openly and vulnerably, that just gives so many different groups of people, you know, permission to not just follow you for all the different reasons, but then permission to like just be okay with like making content of their own that highlights what they want to highlight, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I've definitely gotten a good amount of DMs after, I think for Pride Month, I posted a bunch of pictures of me and my wife and just said like, hey, I'm a queer runner and, you know, I'm happy to be one. And I think a lot of people did DM me and they were like, it's so great, you know, to have somebody like who is representative of me and like my life in this space. And that's really nice to have too, because usually it's just, you know, the fact that I'm a woman, but I also am a queer woman in this space. So it's nice to get those DMs. Definitely. It makes me feel like, all right, like it's okay to be vulnerable in these situations and, you know, be 100% yourself, because most people will welcome that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like in a world with like so many voices, it just sometimes it's surprising, like how little people feel like heard, you know, and seen. So even if it doesn't change anything, you know, and like from the way I go about doing my thing, the fact that maybe because I said something a certain way or picked the right song or shared the right thing about myself made someone else just feel like seen or heard is just, it's pretty dope. And I get to do that
that's
with
the most
like
rewarding
running.
part of it. Yeah. That's the number one most rewarding part.
Yeah, for sure.
Emily, before we wrap up, like what are your kind of, I don't want to be like, what are your 5-year plans? But like, you know, I feel like most creators have like a little bit of at least a short-term roadmap of maybe a subscriber goal or a content goal or a brand partnership goal kind of thing. Like what's kind of like guiding you in your content at this point?
Yeah, so I think right now I finally got to 10K Instagram followers, which took forever. I gotta be doing something wrong because it took me a long time. But I think I would love to get to obviously 20K. And for YouTube, I'm at 18 something right now. I'd love to get to like 30K in the next, I think, year is doable. But I just want to keep climbing there. 50K obviously is like the number one goal. So whatever I can do to get there, I just don't know like how long that would really take. and just to put more effort and more time into it, because it is difficult with a full-time job. Like Tommy, like I know you also have a full-time job. It's tough to juggle all of it. And Mike, you had a full-time job too for a while there. Like it's hard. So to put more time into it without making the other parts of my life suffer for that is something. And then I'd also love to do like a partnership. This is like a far-reaching goal with a brand. Maybe something for like Pride, whether it's like Run Like Heller, like apparel that's for Pride or something like that, where I could put some of that profit towards like a LGBTQ organization of some kind. So after the marathon, I kind of want to see who I can work with in that kind of atmosphere, and how we can make it happen.
No, that would be, yeah, that'd be super dope. And I didn't get to ask you, like, I mean, if I'm going to throw another question in, but
No,
you know,
go for it.
like, I don't ever like calling it balance, but like, how do you manage family, full-time job,
Yeah.
content, and running? Because that's the difference. Like, people think like it's running and content is two different things. You know, like
Yeah.
training
Oh,
for a
yeah.
race and like getting content for that is two different jobs. But so how do you like manage all that?
Well, for one, I only put out one YouTube video a week right now. That's as much as I can do. So I find time in my week to make sure that it's filmed, make sure it's edited. It's not going to take up my whole Saturday of editing and filming and this, that, and the other thing. So that's how I get my family time in, because I make sure that stuff is free. And running wise, like, my running hasn't really been impacted too much by YouTube, which is great, because if I'm going to make something for YouTube or Instagram, I'll just take my GoPro, or I'll just have my phone already. So that makes it pretty easy in that respect. But the hardest thing that's been kind of to juggle is just work and YouTube and getting stuff edited while sometimes also maybe working at the same time and juggling between the two screens, but making sure also that I'm paying attention and like that I'm not screwing something up in my job that like makes me the money at the moment. I said I was on like the Drop recently, like a month ago or something, and I said like I'd love to be a full-time influencer. Like that is the ultimate goal, but it's hard to do that when you have a job that makes all the money, so it becomes this like tough cycle. Like I want to have enough time to do it, but I don't necessarily have it right now. And I think I'll make it work one day, but I'm still kind of on that journey of how I can get there while also having the full-time job at the moment.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that, because like people like will ask me like, "Oh, I thought this was full time," and I'm like, I'm so far away from like making that make sense, like it's like a blessing and a curse, because I mean I like my job and I'm good at it, but it's a position where it's going to be a little bit before like I could decide to like switch gears and do this full time. But it would be great to and it's not even like influencing, I guess. Like, I mean, I don't know why that word. I don't know why it just doesn't go well.
It's for lack of a better word.
So for lack of a better, So like it's like if I can if I can build my platform to the point where like when I speak or when I share videos or do anything, it like could inspire people to do something, that would be an amazing full-time job. Like, put it like that, so I'd love for that to happen one day, but it just seems to be so far away.
Yeah, I hear you. That's exactly how I feel.
Are you going to go to TRE next month, Emily?
I can't go.
Or not next month, or whenever it is. Oh, okay.
Just quit your job. Just quit your job.
Yeah, good idea. Then
after all that, quit your job.
Yeah. I'm going to call them right now. Hello, I quit.
I just made it. I was on the podcast with Tommy and Capuzzi. So,
yeah, exactly.
I've made it. It's over.
No, I wish I could. I'll be watching all your content, and my best friend works for a running store that's nominated for like top running stores in the country. So she'll be there. But
what store?
Runner's Edge in New York, Farmingdale and Huntington. Shout out, great store.
I feel like I know the store from your videos already.
That's so funny.
So like it's amazing what like YouTube and the internet can do. Is
Yeah.
that like I know what the inside of I'm familiar with and know what the inside of like a running store in Long Island
Yeah,
looks
on
like.
Long Island is like exactly.
All right, well, good luck to that runner's edge. Hopefully
Yes.
they will
Yeah.
win an award at TRE.
Fingers
And
crossed.
you know what, Emily, thank you so much for spending some time with us today and breaking down
Yeah.
kind of like how you navigate through this world that we all live in. And you know what, I
Yes.
can't wait to wear the Emily Heller Pride collection. Maybe a
Got it.
capsule collection. That'd be amazing.
I know.
I mean, let me know. I'll be one of the first ones to buy it.
Oh, thank you. I gotta figure it out. It's in the works somehow, some way.
All right. And can you let everyone know where they can find you if they want to follow you directly, if they somehow aren't already?
Yes, YouTube, just Run Like Heller, and Instagram at Run Like Heller. Pretty simple.
Awesome. Well, thanks so
you
much.
say,
Thanks, Tommy.
Can you close us out with like a good evening YouTube or something?
I can do like my get out there, get on the grind thing. How's that?
Yeah, let's
Do
do
it,
it.
do it.
All right. So get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller.